Gerald Muswagon, Michael Carrol, Sharon Tirabassi are all some names of gamblers that won millions of dollars and still managed to lose everything. Let's have a look at the dumbest gamblers ever. Gerald Muswagon. Gerald Muswagon was born and raised in Manitoba, Canada, into a lower-class family. He dreamed of a better life, but was surrounded by the realities of financial burden, and worked a series of jobs in order to support himself and lived a quiet life until something happened that would change his life forever. In 1998, Gerald bought a $2 Super 7 lottery ticket, and as fate would have it, he won $10 million. But he wasn't prepared for what came next. Gerald was surrounded by the wrong people, and since there was no one there to give him any financial advice, he began to spend his money on parties, girls, cars, and luxury. He often went on a spending spree, buying flat-screen televisions for his friends, a mansion in Manitoba that was also used as a clubhouse for hosting the raunchiest of parties, and after 2 years of burning through his money, he then decided to get into the logging business, which dealt with cutting and selling lumber. After a long period of poor sales, his logging business had to shut down, and that's when he needed to let loose after a tedious fail running a business. He went back to partying, alcohol, and drugs, and often got so wasted that he was in trouble with the law. He was arrested in the year 2000 for reckless driving. He had been driving dangerously in a Chevy Silverado, which quickly turned into a police chase. After pleading guilty to reckless driving, he would be slapped with 3 months in jail, and things only became worse from there. In November of 2002, he was arrested and charged with sexual assault, and just a few weeks after his wife's death. He had hired a 19-year-old maid to clean the house and would often be inappropriate with her. This time, money would not be able to help him out, as he had spent it all and was now broke. He had to work on a farm, using machines during the week while doing a 3-month sentence on the weekend. This agreement would be made by the court so that he could earn money to support his girlfriend and his 6 children. It was the lowest point in Gerald's life. He went into a deep state of depression, and in 2005, at the age of 42, he took his own life in his mother's garage. His friends and siblings gave their remarks, stating that he had already had personal demons that the money couldn't solve, and instead it only brought them to life. He died, leaving nothing behind, even after having won $10 million, a sum that would be enough to change anyone's life.
Every gambler has that one story, the time they beat the odds and hit it big. Now it's your turn to create your story and become a main character in our future videos. Welcome to Crypto Rush, where luck meets opportunity in the world of crypto gambling. Deposit crypto, play your favorite games, and cash out in seconds. Crypto Rush brings the joy and excitement of a casino to your fingertips. Click the first link in the description and start your winning streak today. Use code CR50 to get $50 free to play on slots, casino games, or the sportsbook. Crypto Rush, where legends are made. Michael Carrol. Michael Carrol was born on the 29th of March 1983 in England to a coal miner father who passed away when he was still a child. His childhood would be marred by hardships, and he often got into mischief and criminal activity while growing up. When he was 17 years old, he got a job as a garbage bin collector to support himself, but his luck was soon to change. On the 2nd of November 2002, he bought a national lottery ticket that would end up winning him a jaw-dropping 9.7 million British pounds, which at that time was the equivalent of $10.8 million. But there's something crazy here. When you win the lottery in the UK, there's no taxation on the money, so you get every single dime. Michael was given the lump sum and had every intention of using it wisely, but then, it's lottery money. It's never been used sensibly, even by adults, let alone by any 18-year-old boy who had been broke his entire life. Michael showed up to collect his winnings while still wearing a police monitor ankle bracelet, which was his burden for committing petty crimes. Michael didn't have a whole lot of smart people around him to advise him on what to do next, so instead of hiring a financial advisor, he did what every 18-year-old would do: he went shopping. He began by giving away outrageous sums of money to friends and family to support their dreams, and all of his random giveaways would total about $4 million. He then burned through $478,000
on a 6-bedroom mansion and spent a fortune renovating it. A massive $445,000 went to building a racetrack, a swimming pool, and other amenities on the property, and he indulged in alcohol, drugs, and women on a daily basis. Organizing parties that would cost thousands of dollars. He was also married at the time, and his wife could no longer put up with it all, and she packed her bags and left. By 2013, Michael was both broke and homeless and had gotten a job in Scotland as a manual laborer, starting out working with his hands to pay the bills. Eventually, his ex-wife would reach out to him, they sorted out their differences, and they were back together once again, and in the end, you could say that love conquers all. They were deeply in love despite having wasted an opportunity to be wealthy and together. Laura and Roger Griffiths. The British couple Roger and Laura Griffiths is a perfect example of what sudden fortune can do to a young couple. Roger was an IT manager while his wife Laura worked as a school teacher, and they lived in a comfortable and modest life away from publicity in Yorkshire, England. However, their lives would change overnight when they found out they were the lucky winners of 1.8 million British pounds. The overjoyed couple began making plans on how to give themselves and their children a better life, initially starting with necessary expenses. They would then acquire a luxury mansion in Yorkshire at a jaw-dropping £800,000. With what they had left, it should have ended there, but then Roger got a Porsche, and Laura treated herself to the most expensive of designer clothing. They invested in their children's education and also gifted family members some money, and then they went all in on the life of luxury. Exotic vacations, 5-star luxury suites, luxury dining experiences, and Roger even resurrected an old university rock band that he used to be part of, and they made an album, even though they never sold any records. They then tried to open up businesses and always failed to generate returns. The lavish lifestyle had drained all of their funds, and they began selling off assets at giveaway prices because of the property market collapse. By the year 2000, they had sold their home and moved back to a rented apartment, and their financial troubles had created tension in their relationship. They got a divorce in that same year, putting an ending to a 14-year marriage, both of them claiming that the other was responsible for the financial collapse. In the end, that lottery win was more of a source of division than a blessing, and Roger went back to his IT job while Laura focused on raising her children. The couple's experiences highlight the importance of planning when hit with sudden wealth. Sharon Tirabassi. Sharon Tirabassi was born and raised in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and grew up in a low-income household, and later in life found herself a financially struggling single mother with 6 children, literally living a nightmare. She and her kids had been living on welfare before she got a job as a personal care assistant, and one day she purchased a Super 7 Powerball lottery ticket, and she won an astounding 10.5 million Canadian dollars. That became the happiest day of her life, as she could now take care of both herself and her children. She immediately got her cash prize and gave $1 million to her parents and another 1.7 to her siblings. Besides her direct family, she also helped out friends and distant relatives with a few handouts. She was very generous and would hardly say no to anyone with a good sob story. She knew what it was like to live in poverty, so she couldn't resist helping others in dire need. However, this generosity would soon contribute to her downfall. In addition to all of that, she also spent recklessly. She bought a $515,000 luxury home on a mortgage and moved in with her husband, who she finally wed in 2006. She purchased 4 luxury vehicles and would also host loud and expensive parties at her home, which often became much too loud for her quiet neighborhood. She splurged on designer jewelry and fashion and would take the entire family on luxury trips to Florida, the Caribbean, and other exotic places. She thought the money would never be exhausted, and it seemed like a lot, but just 9 years later, she discovered that she was down to only $750,000. Trouble struck as her husband was arrested and jailed, and soon after they would lose their luxury home and have to move back into a rented apartment. And in addition to this, she also had to sell 3 out of the 4 luxury vehicles. After her husband was released from prison, his 3 children came to live with them, which made 9 children in the home. Sharon found herself working as a personal support worker and taking the bus to work every day, exactly how she started out life in the first place. She took the remaining money that was left and put it into a trust for her children to access when they came of age. It was difficult to believe that she would ever go back to working a regular job and earning minimum wage after she had once attained millionaire status. Tonda Lynn Dickerson. Tonda Lynn Dickerson was a waitress at a Waffle House in Grand Bay, Alabama, working long hours for a modest income and having a simple life. She was endearing to her regular customers, and that would often get her tips. She had a regular customer named Edward Seward who would come in and eat, and after paying for his food, would tip Tonda or any of her colleagues with a lottery ticket. The man gave them the tickets, making them promise that if by some crazy chance they had won, they would split it all equally and also buy him a brand new truck. There was no official writing on the contract, just a promise made by word of mouth. Tonda's life took a whole new turn when one of her tickets ended up matching the numbers that were announced on television. In March of 1999, she received news that she had won $10 million. She was excited, but also decided to keep the money all to herself. It wouldn't be long until the other employees at the Waffle House caught on and they took Tonda to court. The Alabama Supreme Court ruled that a promise to split the money was a form of gambling and was not legally binding. Tonda walked away free but would be hit with another court case, this time by Edward Seward, the generous tipper who wanted the truck that he was promised. And as you probably guessed, it was a complete waste of time and money. Tonda's problems were far from over though. Her ex-husband wanted in on the lottery money and knew that taking her to court wouldn't work, so he took her at gunpoint, a much more extreme action. Tonda was somehow able to escape, got a hold of his gun, and left a shell in her ex-husband's chest. He survived the shot, but surprisingly, Tonda didn't face any legal repercussions. The court would clear her of all charges, saying that it was all in self-defense, and after that, she just couldn't catch a break. Her next challenge would come from the IRS. She had placed all of her money into an account which would allow her to send small amounts to family and friends. The IRS decided the money was subject to a gift tax up to the sum of $771,000, which led to another court battle that lasted 13 years. In 2012, the IRS decided to put an ending to the long case by ordering Tonda to pay a smaller fee in the range of $300,000. Sadly, though, years of legal fees had taken a big chunk of the lottery money, and a significant amount of the winnings was gone. Tonda would be forced to take a job at a casino as a poker dealer. She never got the opportunity to live the lavish lifestyle like a typical lottery winner. Perhaps it would have been best had she just split the money with her colleagues and retained all of the friendships. These were just a small portion of the dumbest gamblers that went broke from millions, but what do you think? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Also, subscribe to the channel so that you never miss out on another great video like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.